Good evening, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to tonight's race. I am Baka Shinobi, and I am joined by Hupfin. How are you doing this evening, Hupfin?
I'm doing all right. I'm looking at the question that our restreamer or tracker, not sure which one of them put in there, and what agility must your anchor have so that Zeroma starts at RA3 or higher? I've played this game plenty. I've commentated plenty of races. I can't answer that.
I can. The number is 42.
Well, there you go.
There are a lot of fun things you can have that can happen when you have a high agility anchor. Interesting Zeroma's fight, not one that you're used to, but I don't think we're going to want to have a 42 agility anchor with this start, as we start with Hallam in this race between BigDunka and Mechalink.
Yes, and looking at our two random objectives for today's match, the first three, of course, have been consistent throughout the Swiss rounds, getting Edward and getting Rosa. So we don't have to keep either of those, and unfortunately, I'm mostly thinking about Edward when I say that, but he is an option when it comes to agility anchoring, depending on who else shows up and when.
Very true. He is a very speedy character, but starts at low agility. As long as you can go and keep him down, he will go and anchor just fine and dandy. Rosa, on the other hand, I'm pretty sure you want to go and have her up and kicking because she is a very helpful character, not just in the early game when she has access to the very useful aim command to make good use of bows, but she gets great HP growth and learns a bunch of helpful white magic early, so she is a prime target to want to have for your party.
Yeah, so of course we'll see both of our runners probably prioritizing the character checks as much as possible, and both of them probably looking at this with a little bit of stress, I dare say. This is an elimination match for all intents and purposes, going into our bracket stage. Both of our runners at 2-2.
Yep, this is part of the format for this tournament. Is after you've achieved 3 losses, you are unfortunately out of the running for brackets. This week and next week are going to be very tense races for whoever wins, as they will still need to go through one more match to try and get to a 4-2 record. But whoever loses here, their shot at brackets has been shot. That's a bit redundant.
But it's accurate. So we should be seeing some strong play, some gambles perhaps, as you're in that kind of position where you know everything you do really matters. You're more willing to take those risks and push whatever advantage you do find yourself holding.
Yeah, we have a lot of interesting options. Starting with Palom is nice. He is going to go and be able to do a lot early game, but how much he's able to do end game is up in the air, because we have the T Wildest treasure flags, which means you can find a lot of good stuff. And if you can find a lot of good stuff, you can find a lot of good weapons. With weapons, you don't need to go and level your characters up as high, which means you may not be willing to get nuked on that Palom and might have to replace them some way into the seed.
Yes, but of course, part of that equation is finding out who our first partner is, and it's Eddie.
And this doesn't count for Objective 4. We have to find and recruit him. So anyone who's excited for Objective 4 right off the bat, you are slightly stymied. That does mean, however, one of the 3 duplicates in the seed is Edward.
Yep, and our starting key item is not a key item at all. It's a light sword, which is practically a key item if we do find a Cecil. This is one of the strongest options you have for him, and the earlier you can start swinging that around, the better off you'll be.
Very much so. I imagine our runners would have, I don't know if they would have felt better or worse with a different holy sword that begins with L, as the legend sword would be half of objective number 2, but the objective that would be half of objective number 2 in the hands of your opponent as well.
Yeah, that starting item, and I can see being kind of torn. Maybe you want something really helpful and advantageous that you have that, but your opponent has it too. They didn't have to do anything special for it.
Yeah, it is very scary to be in a position where you know what your opponent has and know how much closer they are to your go mode, just because it really puts pressure on. You need to execute quickly. If your execution slips up or if you make some mistake, you feel every one of those. You never know when your opponent is playing perfectly or if they're having a bad day. You only know how bad of a day you're having.
Yeah, so both BigDunka and Mechalink doing that initial Baron looting. BigDunka going a bit deeper, going into the grassland behind. Did find a Lilith Rod, as well as there was black robes available. So Palom getting a little bit kitted out early, which is handy.
Yeah, that black rope has been adjusted from the original SNES release. There was a slight mistake made on the translation where the black rope gave willpower instead of wisdom. And Board has updated this so that it gives the proper black magic stat.
Well, Mechalink finds Cecil, but it's in boss form, which is not recruitable, so at least we know we don't have to worry about the waterfall.
Yeah, Dark Knight Cecil's all washed up today, as BigDunka is going into the jail to see if he can mop up some items. Getting a Sylph Summon and a Black Belt are nice items, but not necessarily... Okay, the Black Belt might be helpful for Edward if you're relying on him for physical damage early without a Dancing Dagger, because that will give extra strength, and Edward does not come with much strength at all.
Nah, Edward is our soft squishy boy, and we love him, but he's not exactly a big source of strength. Mechalink looking like he may not have intended to reset that way, so may have lost a little bit of time just dealing with the treasury and a little bit of mismenuing.
Yeah, that is a bit unfortunate, but getting back on their feet. Well, BigDunka has launched the hovercraft and is heading over to Mount Hobbs to see who the character there is. BigDunka also taking advantage of one of the habits I like, which is you pick up all your nice items, but you don't put any of them on until you're about to save and do something. This is a very helpful technique to just cut down the amount of time you go into your menu, and just really saves you time over a seed as you really go and don't stop every time, but you also make sure you're getting your saves in so that if you do something risky like this Hobbs check, you don't go and lose progress.
Yeah, a recurring theme of the LaliHo League thus far has been how do you manage your menuing? And how do you manage the time with that, along with how do you manage loot? Because that ends up influencing your menuing frequency and effort as well.
Yes, because there's a lot of good loot, but if you only have so many inventory slots, and if you just keep looting because, hey, every chest can be great, you can go and get nice things like defense swords, white spears, heroine robes, elven bows, all sorts of great stuff. You eventually go and have too much stuff in your bag and need to chuck some of it. And every time you have to go and chuck something, that's more time you're giving to your opponent, who might be a bit more diligent in their looting. And we see BigDunka pulling out a very unique strategy where Evil Wall has a script where he moves forward and attacks. This is not voluntary, that's just kind of what Evil Wall does, and if there's no valid target for Evil Wall to attack, he has to attack something, and it doesn't have to be on your side. He'll attack himself if Edward's hit and the rest of the party is down.
So hey, you started with Edward, you use the Edward. This will add Iridia to BigDunka's party. Not a character that a lot of folks have been happy with over the course of this tournament, but to get her early on at least, there's room for growth.
And we do have a Sylph Summon, that long animation, but it does do virus level damage.
Yeah, meanwhile, Mechalink has been poking around Kaipo, demonstrating that you can actually ride the hovercraft over the little oasis next to Kaipo, which I didn't know prior, but also found a Elven Bow available. And,
yeah, that Elven Bow can be...
Yeah.
Elven Bow can be very big. It's a good high accuracy weapon early on, and early bows tend not to be very good, not because they have low attack power, which they do, but because they also have incredibly low accuracy. So that short bow Rosa starts with, you'll probably be lucky if she actually hits anything with it outside of using the aim command.
Yeah, you really want to be pulling up those mid-level bows, like the Elven Bow. They also tend to have a stat boost associated with them. Strength, Wiz, Will, something that will just make the holder better off in general. The Artemis Bow naturally being the ultimate bow, the biggest example of that, boosting plus 15 to everything except your magic, which it tanks. But Edward doesn't do magic, so it's a really good find if you happen to be carrying a bard around.
Yeah, that's... Edward doesn't worry about magic, he just sings, and he The magic of song is a very different magic than the magic of making things explode on fire.
I mean, you haven't seen me at karaoke night, so
True. That is. It sounds like quite the show.
uh, I didn't expect to have to continue this joke. Anyway, here's Ashura down in the Antlion Cave.
Ooh, and Mechalink is going to be able to make good use of that Elven Bow, as one of the properties of the Elven Bow gives +5 to Wisdom. Not very helpful. Other thing it does, quadruple damage against mages, and Ashura counts as a mage.
Also, using some of those star veils that we start off with to set up a wall on Ashura so she can't heal herself through this whole deal. It's only 1,000 HP to get through, but you don't want to have to deal with recovering that and then damaging it again, and then just go.
Yeah, that is. It is something where you really. That Cure 4 can just be so devastating, where if you spend 3 turns going and getting Ashura down to 800 HP, and then, well, she got a Cure 4 off, and now she's back to full health.
Yep.
And we see BigDunka setting up the same strategy. Mechalink, having bluffed up his Palom, is going, reflecting Fire 1s to go and do damage. The Fire 1 spell is not usually respected much for its damage, and to be honest, it's well deserved to go and not be respected for its damage. But bluff up enough, you'll be able to go and do something, even to these kind of low power spots.
And BigDunka have with that Rydia in the party, might as well do a Choco Kick.
Getting about the same amount. Oh, this is unfortunate for Mechalink, as the walls are wearing off. And
Ooh, yeah.
that is, if Ashura casts Cure 4, Ashura is going to go and heal all the damage that's been done.
And yep, there it is. 694 damage reset.
That is not great for Mechalink, unfortunately, as it's just. That's going to take a while to do again, and an advantage. Okay, Mechalink is resetting. That's definitely a wise play, as you don't quite have what you need to start from fresh in the middle of the fight like that. You can't go and burn a Star Veil, 2 Star Veils, and then recover. You need to go and do something different.
Yeah, this is a fight that requires either some really fast maneuvering that BigDunka has a little better chance at with 3 active party members, or taking the lifelock strategy, keeping Ashura stuck on that gray face. But it looks like that's going to have to be the strategy. BigDunka cannot get the kill before the walls fall off either.
Yeah, that's something people take for granted, runners, myself included, is Star Veils don't last forever. They have a set number, they last a long time. And in certain agility setups, you can make them last forever. But this early, that spot's pretty slow. Your party is not going to be high relative agility either. So Ashura is actually kind of tricky to go and deal with in that fashion. Ashura is a surprisingly rude boss for a low damage party, which unfortunately this party currently is.
Well, BigDunka is going to give it another go. Mechalink heading up to Hobbs, going to take on the Evil Wall fight. Is spending some lives and some cures up here, so maybe thinking about trying to do it properly and try to get the XP going instead of taking the route that BigDunka took. But nope, that's another reset. May go for the Edward strats here as well.
Yeah, this is a rude start. You have the 3 characters that you usually look at rely on for getting your damage party started is your 2 starting characters and the character on Hobbs. None of them in this situation can do any appreciable damage on their own, because Mechalink's found an Elven Bow but hasn't found effective arrows to go with it. And that is the best source of damage. Maybe the best choice for Mechalink is to go searching shops for dancing daggers, but BigDunka does get through Ashura, popped a Zeus Rage early, and then put up a second Star Veil to go and do the other half of Ashura's health and damage.
Yeah, very nicely done, finishing it off with a Chocobo kick and grabbing some Zeus gauntlets. thanks to that Zeus rage.
The siege is just taunting you. Would you like a Paladin Cecil? Would you like a Paladin? You know who does damage? Paladin Cecil does damage. Oh, I'm sorry. You have 2 mages who have level 1 spells, if that, and a bard who is currently equipped with a harp.
Look, eventually Rydia can use that Zeus gauntlet.
As long as we do Dwarf Castle. And eventually, Pelham learns Quake, but the lesson they're learning right now is this does not help them in the moment. BigDunka is in a bit better of a position as he has beaten 1 boss and gotten 1 level on Pelham. Pelham now has access to a level 2 spell, which is a significant increase in damage.
And that has to be what Mechalink is working towards right now, trying to take this Evil Wall fight properly, trying to get that level and more onto his Pelham.
Yes. This is the unfortunate desperation grind, and you need 1 level on Pelham. Any level will do, and it's just haunting you with Ashura and Evil Wall, neither of which are like Leviathan in an early spot is fine because he's weak. He's quadruple weak to lightning and can throw elemental spells at him. Even Lit 1 will do great damage.
What about a Bahamut over at Fabul? How do we feel about that?
You know what else BigDunka found in Fabul? More Star Vals, when he bought about 5 of, I think. So I'm guessing BigDunka's going to feel kind of okay burning some Star Vals. Ooh, that is something that BigDunka might feel a bit nervous about, just because, I went and committed hard to that Ashura pretty much, but there is a free fight right here.
Yeah, he does not know that Mechalink is committing even harder to other fights that are just not paying off.
Yeah. Mechalink choosing to leave this fight, definitely the correct decision. Coming to Fabul, definitely going to go and be able to make some ground now, get some traction, because Bahamut, Star Vals, great way of going and killing Bahamut. Goes and reflects all the damage back. If your party can't do damage, don't worry, Bahamut has you covered. Oh my goodness.
Artemis Bow and Cursed Ring up in the King's Chambers.
I do believe we were saying that, an Artemis Bow would be great for this Edward because -10 to your casting stats of Willpower and Wisdom. What's it matter? Eddie doesn't cast spells. The only spell Edward needs to go and learn is shoot arrow into other object. Also known as Not So Magic Missile.
I mean, I dare say between Edward and Sid, some of the best archers in this game are the non-mages.
Yeah. Definitely great to go and use. Mechalink going and purchasing Star Vales, but not going in to see the fight, and unfortunately it's probably punished because that Bahamut is going to go and kill himself, unfortunately. That is, Star Vales will go and take care of that and get your damage rolling, but Mechalink is going and sticking to the known factors of, I know there's Ashura, I know that I can go and, if I go and reflect an extra Star Veil midway through the fight, I can probably get through this. Not the worst choice, just unfortunately not working out for Mechalink at the moment, while BigDunka is clearing Silvera and finding Dancing Daggers.
Yep, along with those vampires and mute bells they picked up right beforehand. So yeah, there's our wall of Star Veils. BigDunka getting pretty well kitted out in terms of these early squishy strats that you don't want to be kitted out for because you don't want to have to be doing them.
Yeah, the scene is being very stingy. We've received 0 key items for 3 checks. And BigDunka is going to go head towards deals and see what check number 4 can potentially give. BigDunka must curse it over the Darkness Arrows, but accidentally didn't select them.
Yeah.
Going Charm and Artemis is going to be very strong.
The Chartimus, if you will.
But Mechalink gets their great Zeus gauntlet that I'm sure both our runners are probably wishing that Eddie could go and wear those Zeus gauntlets, which they do drop from ogres, which makes me wonder if they are just like, Hulk hands without the voice lines attached.
Look, they could have the voice lines attached. You don't know that.
Maybe that's why Edward doesn't use them, because he wants to go and use his own voice, and it just, it just goes against
Yeah,
his code.
it's just dissonance, you know. Whereas
But luckily-
Rydia, adult Rydia, she doesn't care. It's like big noise, big hits, big summons. Let's go.
Yeah, Adult Rydia is just all about laying down the law, and BigDunka finding that you will never go and be able to make this Yang fight free, as he's the first fight on Ordeals.
Yep, the karate fight is free if you have a Paladin Cecil. You just wait a little bit, give him a bop. He says, "Ouch!" Fight's over. He's gating Paladin Cecil at the moment, so good luck with that. You're gonna have to defeat him normally.
Thankfully, this spot is, well, as you can see, it has incredibly impressive attack power in the form of it missed Edward and Rydia and did 3 damage to Palom, so physical attack's a bit lacking here, and karate relies on that, and he's already down.
Yeah, not even taking a safety save after that, fighting Mom Bomb in the back attack.
Ooh, that's a little rude. This spot's a bit more punchy than the first spot, as we can see, as Rydia goes down to half HP.
And then less.
Mom decided, no, we take out the summoner. We take out the person who can do the... Oh, okay, fine, we'll punch the kid for a little bit. But Rydia with that Silk spell is going to be kind of important, as this is not a high HP team, and this team's going to go and take some damage when that explode script happens. Because Mom Bomb has an additional 9,000 HP to make sure that she gets to go and blow her top and turn into all of her little children when you meet her. The only place you're reasonably going and skipping that is a place where you have a lot of damage.
So not anywhere in this seed is what we're saying.
I mean, with how the seed's going, we're going to go and just be grinding on the moon at some point to get nuked. And that will be what we call damage. Is give these children enough time and experience and eggs, and they'll be able to go and blow up anything with that wonderful nuke spell.
Provided, of course, they get through these fights like this Mom Bomb that exploded and knocked Rydia down onto the ground. As Palom Ice 2, not even quite enough to wipe out the children.
That is a little scary, but it does have a guide drum that might be able to go and finish things off. The punches coming out are as scary, as Edward is taking 1 point of damage. Not very often you see that. Rydia is taking a lot more than 1 point of damage, but Palom getting hit for half of his HP is scary.
But Dunka gets through.
It seems like Mom Bomb has been BigDunka.
As Mechalink goes over to defend Fabul and is going to find out that there was a very easy fight here.
And yeah, that is probably going to be a bit frustrating for Mechalink, as he has spent 19 minutes getting here to this point, and is going to discover that there was some free experience early on. Granted, BigDunka also did not go and discover that, but oh, good. BigDunka discovered where the first key item is. It's an ordeal.
Hey! It's a hook and a leg.
One of those is vastly more attractive than the other.
Mechalink, meanwhile, did pick up a Stardust Rod somewhere. I didn't see where that happened or if BigDunka has done the same, but is going to lean on that and some level 2 spells to just take out Bahamut on his own. Thank you very much.
Definitely good. A little bit faster to go and just throw your spells rather than waiting for Bahamut to count to 5 and turn on the open roasting season. But if there is a bright side to this seed, we've seen some kind of rude bosses so far. They can't be on the hook route.
This is true. We know Dark Knight Cecil isn't there. We know Karate isn't there. That without a Paladin Cecil, that can be a little rude.
That Dark Knight Cecil could... Okay, we have Edward, so we'd actually be able to go and survive Dark Knight Cecil in the form of bravely running away, but really nice to not have to deal with that.
Yep, and we do know that we have the Eblin royalty over in the Baron Inn. They are talking to Tella right now. We don't know what's at the second spot, and really we would rather the royalty be in that second spot rather than the first, but there's another freebie that it looks like BigDunka may be heading to right now.
BigDunka not in a, not rushing that hook. I'm going to go for, at the very least, the guaranteed value of Tella with exit to, if things are looking really hairy, be able to just leave the Ebon Cave and come back later. While Mechalink is going and checking the boss of Mist Cave. This is going to be some good information for Mechalink.
Another boss you'd love to see somewhere that you don't have to deal with it.
The Dark Knight brothers are taking up residence in the first two boss spots of the game, deciding that they're going to go and block anyone who dares to get started, not realizing that we're just going to fly over them. Ooh. Okay. This is
Odin.
As long as Odin doesn't kill people quickly?
I mean, generally, yes. As long as you don't kill the party, you're fine. But Palom, with that Lit 2 available, that is going to be good damage.
And already, Odin's doing good damage, but yes, that Lit 2 takes down Odin. No experience from the spot, so you just need to get through the fight, while Mechalink is also fighting this Odin right now, before they go for deals. And we get
a vanilla Baron key that will lead to, I don't remember who gave us our initial item, so...
Boy, I really wish I paid attention to that.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that, as commentators, we should probably be, actually watching the match.
I tell myself every single time I find the Baron key, I should make better notes of who gives me that Baron key, and I never do.
Unfortunately, Scythe Marshal, our tracker, pointing out it was Dolls hanging out at Beigen. So we will have that fight, plus the mystery of who is on the throne, all that for a key item and a character. And BigDunka, I think, is going to go and try and claim that bounty.
Definitely not Chevlikiana going straight into that hook route from Ordeals. I can't blame them. Finding a stack of Artemis arrows goes great with that Artemis bow.
Yeah.
And Mechalink also choosing to follow the Baron key right away, baiting Ordeals, which might haunt Mechalink a little bit, only because that means that BigDunka has access to all of Tella's spells, while Mechalink does not.
Yeah, depending who is our second fight here, that could be a huge deal in terms of, having some more of the AoE damage. If it's a free boss like Dark Imps, Tella knows things like Weak, and could be handy, or it could be just a boss that really rewards physical damage, and both of our runners are in trouble.
I mean, at the very least, Tella has Berserk, which we have an Artemis bow that. We have an Edward, so between the two of those, we have half of a melee fighter.
Yeah, I mean, it spares you spending those arrows, I guess.
As long as Eddie doesn't get knocked down and have to get knocked up again. Or brought back up again. I can only imagine every time Tella casts Life on Edward, he resents it and just uses his staff to pull it chin to say, get back up. Only I can knock you down.
Yeah, it's like the old timey, someone on a vaudeville stage getting the hook drawn out. That Tella does that with his staff. It's a little hooked staff.
I mean, he's gotten pretty good at it too. Unfortunately, Calprina almost died to the big bomb that Edward threw, but one of the Cals stayed alive, and unfortunately, Riddy was not quick enough to get her dancing dagger out, so it was turned into the big doll.
Yeah, Mechalink did not face that, so is over to our Lunar Sparkle a little faster.
Here's everyone's favorite game. Is it Wyvern in the second spot?
Nope, it's the Lunars.
All right, that's merciful. A little unfortunate for Mechalink, because Fire 3 is going to be really nice on BigDunka's side.
Yeah, you already... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say he's already used it once on the combined doll to good effect, so I assume Tella will still have enough MP, but yeah, it has proven itself valuable.
Yeah, that is... Those tier 3 spells don't need to be backed up with incredibly powerful wisdom to be very effective. But BigDunka is going and setting up Star Veils on 2 of his characters while he is casting walls, so preparing for Frog Strats instead of going to see if he can win this outright with Fire 3.
Mechalink, though, is trying to win this fight outright. It is faster if you have the power to do it, but if you don't have the power, then BigDunka's strategy is more consistent.
Yes, you don't have to even worry about, well, taking a fair fight. When D-Lunars cast Breath, it reflects backwards to them, and that kind of works on them.
Yeah, but I think I prefer Mechalink's strategy here of having Edward use double Artemis on dragons. Artemis is strong against dragons.
It's a pretty good strength, and hey, there's Cecil. Mechalink is going to be a little annoyed that he hasn't done our deals yet because he still can't go and use the Zeus Gauntlet or the Light Sword yet.
Well, I think we have a strong idea of where they're going next. You grab a Tella, you grab a Dark Knight Cecil, you look at that ordeals, and you look longingly, and you smile, for that is your next destination.
Yeah, there's no escaping that. You're definitely going to be going and doing that ordeals with the 2 characters in the game getting the biggest value from it. So I guess Vistoya would also get some value from it if Vistoya is at that hook path. But BigDunka, meanwhile, is going and getting through the D-Lunars as Mechalink is on their way to find the Baron item.
And it's the Darkness Crystal. So Mechalink now knows that Mount Ordeals has the way underground.
Yes. Mechalink has checked every boss available, knows that they are not around, is going to go and check Mysidia, probably going to go and look at the character on the moon, maybe check the shops as well, before going to ordeals in the event that there is a Vistoya waiting for them.
Vitasia in chat saying, what I can only assume is a joke of go giant or go home, but remember, we are looking at 2 character hunts here, and giant does give you a character. I will not be surprised if our runners are prioritizing character locations. The more dupes we spot, the more dangerous the notion of the giant becomes.
Yeah, we know there's a duplicate Eddie around. I don't believe we've seen any other duplicates yet.
Not yet.
But we do have 2 character spots that haven't been checked in the form of that hook path and that Lunar Dais, which Mechalink is going to right away.
Now, of course, we only have to do 4 out of 5, so we may not have to worry about both of our character hunts. But with how tight this seed has been on key items, it might be easier to find a character than to find the items that we need.
Or worse, all the items we need could be on the moon. Hey, there is a shop selling Hourglass 2's very nice items to go and have. As they cast Stomp on all enemies, very helpful. Does not work on bosses because the boss bit explicitly makes bosses immune to every status effect.
Pretty much. But there are plenty of grinds and plenty of trap chests where those are very handy to have. And once you know that you are safe to deal with trap chests in an area, well, T-Wildish means the loot is better in those domains as well.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. If you're not adverse to looting, it's not a bad direction.
Now, you can definitely go and save because there's some fights that you want to loot explicitly to find those trap fights, as the Mad Ogres on that upper Babel path, good experience.
Finding Porum on the Lunar Dais, a bad experience.
Would you like to get a discount white mage?
We have a discount white mage. It's called Viridia with Sylph. But Mechalink is going to disagree with me on that and take the twin.
Okay, hi. And, well, Mechalink also has access to twin magic.
Yeah,
So
that is a valid reason.
I am on team never Porum if I can avoid it, and Chala can go and do a lot of the stuff that I care about Porum doing. So, I you just have to get a little lucky with Ashura, or better yet, double nuke kills a lot of things. Don't have to worry about actually healing damage if you just deal all the damage in the fight.
Well, I guess we're about to see what BigDunka thinks of this option as well, as he has raised the whale and is sending it off to the moon. Mechalink is dipping into Cave Bahamut, finding some manner of guards in the boss spot, so good chance for value here, as this will be a free fight.
As long as they don't punch this party down as... Alright, so no matter what, this party does not have the HP to survive more than a stiff breeze. And these guards are going to go and have maximum attack power, but they're also not immune to those hourglasses that we purchased.
Yeah, we also don't know... Well, now we know that it is the Baron guards, so... I think it was BigDunka who bought mute bells. Not that you would want to use these. Use the hourglasses, but mute bells, they're an option.
Yep. Mechalink is going to have this late trouble of how are you killing these guards? Because Tell is good at certain things, but without access to weakened stone, this is going to be a lot of damage to chew through. Artemis arrows are going to help, yes, but they might not last long enough until the that Hourglass 2 does last 100 turns. But it also has a fair amount of HP.
This could take 100 turns. But that Elven Bow, as you mentioned earlier, Baka, strong against mages. These guards are mages.
And BigDunka is saying, yeah, okay. Porum, you can join the party. Edward, we're going to find you later. Go home for now. Go find your twin brother.
And Dunka does not even want to check what Cave Bahamut has. Pretty understandable. This is a high HP spot. There's not a lot of fights where you would want to do this. I'm a little surprised Mechalink is doing this.
Mechalink is trying to go and...
Mechalink is no longer doing this.
I did see Mechalink try and go and land a hit on Recall. Recall will hit every target, and there is a chance it'll go and do nothing, which is pretty common. Good chance it'll do a level 1 spell, which is very common. Chance it'll go and do weak on every target, which is not so common. Or it can just do Fatal on every target, which is rather impressive considering Tella never actually relearns Fatal ever.
I think that's what's referred to as a false memory in that case. But it's advantageous if you can get it.
Yeah, he's even Tella has the leg up on Plague at that point because Plague has to wait 10 seconds before the targets die. Tella just... Oh, AoE death. Seems a little broken. And BigDunka finding in the first chest the Staleman. Not resending it. Oh, unfortunately getting knocked out and losing an hourglass. Maybe not losing an hourglass to it. These Stalemen not doing kind things to BigDunka's party or the person trying to throw the hourglass.
Oh, but after a few attempts, he does manage to get them stopped, so just chip away at their health. Ice 3 helps a lot at chipping away at their health. And that's a big splash of XP and potentially a top-tier item.
Top-tier item is definitely be good because one of those top-tier items is called a Crystal Sword, which is disgustingly powerful. It has 200 attack power, plus 15 to strength, vitality, and willpower, and is only usable by Cecil with 99% accuracy.
And it's disgustingly shiny. Have you ever seen one of those? Like, they're so just...
I can't say I've seen it. I've only seen the glare of the eminent radiance that just shines off of that thing. 10 Artemis arrows is not a crystal sword.
No. Just add those to the pile that you're actually might be using, depending on who you have in the party. BigDunka, having gotten rid of Edward, maybe not so much.
I mean, the heroin robe might be fine for Rydia. Go and let her do that. Ooh, Bacchus wine and sirens. Oh. Well, this is a cheeky idea. Do you know what Artemis arrows are really good at?
Being shot at dragons.
Yeah. The Elven Bow might go and make do quadruple damage against mages, but the Artemis arrows do quadruple damage against dragons. And you can take those sirens and you can take those hourglasses. You can go to the moon and fight double gold dragons up there.
That is definitely a thing. Even the eggs that we summon down in the in the underworld, those are dragons.
Yes, yellow dragon eggs. And BigDunka is loading up on sirens. Don't know if BigDunka is planning on going back to the moon to use them, or is just picking them up for future use. And BigDunka does seem to be, at the very least, picking them up for future use.
And now I'm wondering, because I'm not actually positive, the D machine that was kind of a classic grind up in the giant, are those dragons, machines, both?
They are
Giants for
dragons.
some reason?
They are not machines. I have actually gone and checked that because I was curious. They're the only enemy in the giant that is not a machine. I really wanted to go and be able to use hammers on them, but can't get what we want.
Nope. They had to pick a side, and they chose dragon.
It's in their name. Half their name, and they've forsaken it.
Well, if they can't be both, they have to forsake one half or the other.
I mean,
Anyway,
what dragon's going to judge them in that giant?
Look, I don't know the social hierarchy of the Giant of Babil. I do know that we have a Rosa on the hook path, so BigDunka will be clearing objective number 5.
Definitely nice to see. I believe we're going to be giving the boot to a certain, shall we say, discount white mage.
That is possible, but BigDunka did just spend time kitting her out with that Artemis gear. I don't know, might just do a straight swap over? Yeah, just gonna be a straight swap over. Goodbye, Porum.
Goodbye, discount white mage.
And hello, Heroine Robe.
Hi, would you like to go and have the best setup for your your Amazon white mage? Yes, please go. Give her all of that strength boosting equipment and make this Rosa disgustingly powerful.
Battle Rosa.
I don't. Well, there's a Stardust Rod for BigDunka to make up for the one that he missed on West Hobbs. And I think BigDunka is not terribly afraid of this hook path at the moment.
Now we may not have much HP, but we have enough strength.
We have.
I mean, I hope we have enough strength.
If we don't have enough strength, something has gone horribly, horribly wrong. But you know, we can fix it by just going up to the moon. We have sirens, we have hourglasses. There are dragons up there who will just... I'm sure Artemis Arrow, Heroine Robe, Artemis Bow, Rosa is more than happy to introduce those dragons to those arrows. And one thing we're unfortunately seeing the consequence of is Cecil is not back row glitch, which in Final Fantasy IV, if you equip a long-range weapon such as a bow and arrow or a whip, you will not have any penalties to the damage you do from the back row or to back row enemies. And if you unequip a long-range weapon, the game thinks you still have that bit anyway, so you keep it forever. So Cecil can go and do full damage with his swords and his anything after either equipping a bow or a dwarf axe.
Yeah, and we start each of the seeds in the Swiss round of the Lali-Ho League with a dwarf axe. It's in the kit. You've got one.
It is a great way to just be kitted out early on. And no, I'm not kidding you.
Thank you, Baka. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sure you're desperate for that. I unfortunately missed what wonderful item BigDunka received from that box.
I want to say it was an apple of some sort.
Well, that's free HP on a character who we started with characters who were low on HP and we're slowly discarding them. Mechalink's discarded Edward, BigDunka received and discarded Porum. Mechalink has also given up their Rydia, so But Mechalink is going and coming back to these guards, might be feeling that I need to make a play, and hey, I can get some good experience off these guards. Tella has some spells that will definitely make this quick and easy. Going for weak. If one thing, you can weak or stone these guards, but with weak, you can attack them and get a life glitch off to go and double the rewards. Definitely something Mechalink might be interested in.
Yep.
Going for a Lit 2 cast to potentially get even more.
Eddie a little too speedy with that one life potion, so just gonna get the one life glitch off of it.
It is a bit tricky with the timing sometimes, but still, getting through this fight early is going to be a boon for Mecha, as it could give a rather important key item. If it gives a Twin Harp, that is a huge advantage for Mechalink.
And if not, it gives a good splash of XP. That was 52,000. We get 23 levels on Cecil. That's nearly a key item at this point itself.
Yeah, that is that is be big and strong, Cecil. And we also do have Quake on Palom, which is a big advantage, though I think Duncan might have gotten to that point with the Mad Ogres.
Oh, as Mechalink does find a pan.
That is a big pickup. That will go, once you get underground, give one item for going down to the Sylph Cave and bonking again with that pan. The Sylphs will go and give that to you in exchange for what is in vanilla, the Sylph Summon. Then you'll be sent, when you go back to Fabul, you can get one key item without the pan by having simply spoken to Yang in the Sylph Cave, and you get another key item for returning the pan to Sheila, Yang's wife. Very condensed trip from Mechalink. Meanwhile, BigDunka taking advantage of Heroin Robe Rosa, and just, and Antlion might go and counter, but just do enough damage to be fine. And Dr. Luge is our Rubicant boss today.
So hey, we got some lit spells. We got some Artemis arrows. We can handle the Doctor. We can handle his machine. We got Quake. Quake solves a lot of problems in this game.
A lot of problems can be solved by apply Quake to enemy. And Mechalink is choosing not to go and loot this cave. Just 50,000 extra experience on your characters is probably enough to go and say, I think I'm pretty good. Is discovering the sirens are for sale. Might feel a little annoyed at those just because if you're going up to the moon for some experience, why not go to the moon for even more experience?
Mm-hmm. Although, hey, we're at 4 key items. Maybe a little premature.
That is... The moon has given 1/3 of the key items that the entire overworld has in dramatically fewer checks.
That's Dunka through part 1 of the Dr. Luge special. Mechalink finding Rosa down here, so we'll clear out objective 5, and we'll see if he bothers to take Rosa, especially after having just gotten a big splash of XP. Do you bother? Are you committed to this party already?
That is the catch-up experience for having a character 5 levels behind the median. It is harder to take fresh characters after you get large amounts of experience. They will just... Usually you can go and get someone and catch them up, but going and deciding to get rid of Edward, that is reasonable, as just give Rosa the Elven Bow and all of the archery accessories.
Yeah, but Mechalink is standing... Okay, does go and get the heroin robe. I was worried they were not going to turn around and grab that one chest, so they were being a little cautious about how much looting they were doing.
Yep, but has them and looks to be in a much nicer position. Is going to go back and save. I wonder if they're going to be doing a bit more looting in this cave, or if they're going to be taking that Mad Ogre chest to get Rosa up some levels.
I mean, that has been a recurring approach. Again, with runners being a little more cautious about how much they're looting just in general. But when they do, with this hook area, you'll see folks go all the way up, get the character, save at that point, and then start looping back until they run into the trap chest that they don't want to fight. Reset out of that, just grab everything else. You're good to go.
Yep, but speaking of good to go, BigDunka is good to go underground as at 46 minutes, he has defeated the Dr. Luge fight, walking his way underground.
Well, that said, that does not exactly open up a ton in the underworld. We don't have a tower key, Luca key, anything to expand our access down here. It's just the Feymarch freebie and the Dwarf Castle.
But we do see a freebie on top of Lower Babel.
Yeah, that was the other guards fight, wasn't it?
That it was. There are two fights that go and look like the guards. One are the Baron guards, which you can tell if there's more than one sprite because there'll be two of the same sprite. The other fight is the officer-soldier fight from Kaipo, which, if there's more than one sprite, you will go and see the yellow-hatted soldiers around with that blue-caped captain.
Yeah, but just one sprite at both spots, so they look the same until you approach them, and BigDunka will be happy to do that approaching once he decides to go up the tower, which it looks like could be right now, doing a keyless tower dip.
It's real tempting when you can go and see that is a free boss with no reason not to. That is going to be very quick with that Tello who can just cast stone.
Yep. A stone cast, a fail cast, a single coffin. Apply it to the officer, and the soldiers will run amok and will not attack you. They're too busy running amok.
They are not exactly the highest quality conscripts, it seems. Or maybe they're just very, very bitter towards each other, and the captain is the only one keeping them in line.
I don't know, but Mechalink is probably wishing this antlion had a captain to keep it in line, as it has knocked them down and forced a reset at this King Queen Eblin spot.
This King Queen Eblin spot, unfortunately, is very fast and very punchy. BigDunka did take that experience on Rosa and was able to go and keep her alive a bit better thanks to just having a bit more than 150 HP. Base level Rosa does not have that much HP, and that is going to go and slow Mechalink down a bit. Ooh, Callum taking 1,000 damage almost from the front. Callum has Quake, and that is a big hit spell.
Yeah. That's the sort of thing that you're leaning on to get you through this fight. Antlion, of course, does all of those physical counters, but if you attack with magic, you're fine. It doesn't counter that. It counters the fight command.
Yeah, oh, and that counter, 298 damage to Rosa, just taking her out instantly. Hella almost going down as well. Cecil is doing pretty well in the back row with that lightsaber and is through the fight, but taking that first swipe is unfortunate for Mecha. Meanwhile, we see BigDunka is on the top of tower, has quaked down the soldiers, and is throwing a stone at the officer to take them out as well. BigDunka is going to go and see if there's value on top of tower, or if they just want to reset out of this.
I don't know, getting 3-4 levels on most of your party, thanks to getting the officer killed, you might take it, even though it's a Luca key.
Luca key, walk out, that is one key item check underground that could lead to something important.
Yep, it's a long chain. That sealed cave takes a hot minute to get through, but it's check.
And you do have the advantage of being able to see the key item and then get into the boss fight without having to go and actually defeat the boss first. That is due to, in the vanilla game, the sealed wall the evil wall, being the boss as you think you have absconded with the darkness crystal that would lead you to the moon.
I don't know, if you're playing this game vanilla, you go through the sealed cave, you go through what's definitely a dungeon, and then there's not a boss at the end. You had to have been suspicious when you were playing that.
I figured all the trapdoors were the boss. It's just, oh, you want to go through a door? Have a fight. Oh, you want to go through this door? Have a fight that kills a character, almost guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they were easy fights, for sure.
But hey,
if you have a good strategy for handling them, they make for a viable grind in this flag set. So, That's something that people do.
That is something people do. Unfortunately, they tend to do that when they don't have access to sirens, which Evelyn, the ninjas, they have stolen that sealed cave drawing away from us today, it seems. But Mechalink has gone and gotten through the first half of the Dr. Luge fight and appears to be getting ready for the second half. Who, meanwhile, BigDunka finding value in Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, I don't care what Dr. Luge says. That Mist Dragon is the real fight.
That's the real value, as on these flags, when you go and defeat Mist Dragon, Ridia's mother in Mist Village will go and have a extra key item for you to go and pick up. So, one downside to Mist Dragon. Okay, two downsides to Mist Dragon. One, resistant to holy damage. Two, not actually a dragon, so Artem's arrows don't do quadruple damage, sadly. And I guess that means there's a third downside in the form of Mist Dragon's going to go and turn into mist as soon as it can. And if you are berserking, it's going to go and counter you every single time you hit it with a normal physical attack, with the fight command specifically. And boy, does that take a while.
Yeah, fortunately, casting Quake and Virus over and over, it's going to make the fight take less of a while.
It is definitely a very nice strategy because Mist Dragon, one or two punches is down, and BigDunka is getting into the second fight.
But of course, before we can do that, we have to obtain this additional character. So until we fight Valvelus...
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Right side, Rosa does have the aim command, which will guarantee to hit any...
So I'm told there was a character there. I'm told, but
we got
immediately
very
gone.
Information. There is a second dupe gone out of the seed. Tella is one of the dupes in the seed. And let's see. We are on Distinct 10. So we have seen Tella, Rydia, Rosa, Hallam, Cecil, Edward, Horum. 3 unseen characters remain, unless I have missed who was the character in Kaipo.
Kaipo was Kane.
Kaipo was Kane, so that's 8 of the 10 characters found.
Yep.
But speaking of finding things, Mechalink has found a way underground, and I think they're going to find their way to Sylph Cave almost immediately.
That is definitely the route for them. With that pan in hand, like you were saying earlier, get those key item checks out of the way. Do your freebies.
And that is a very big freebie. So there is another big freebie waiting for us, and that is the Feymarch free chest. There is in Feymarch a chest that has what is in the vanilla game the rat tail. For here is a key item check.
Dwarf Castle just gives us a white shirt.
We do still have potential value from D-Mist, but would like to go and have something a bit more tangible.
So more and more, this is feeling like a narrow route on getting through our objectives, or everything's on the moon.
With 4 key items, from the blue planet so far, everything on the moon is seeming a bit more viable.
But it's not from the Sylphs yet.
The pan is currently giving not a key item in the form of a crystal gauntlet. I mean, you call it crystal sleeve to feel a bit closer to the crystal sword, but it ain't a crystal sword.
Nah, it's just a thing. We got Zeus gauntlets. We're happier with that. We got a pink tail in the freebie chest rather than the rat tail, so we're
Objective
actually
number 3.
Yeah, we're genuinely happy about that.
That can be a crystal sword.
It could be.
It could also be a Bahamut summon, which one of our runners would feel happy about, and the other runner would feel a bit annoyed at.
But speaking of being annoyed, let's check out the bosses in the Feymarch.
Who are you hoping for down here?
There's nothing good could come of this.
Bygans?
That's Elements and Octomam. Like I said, nothing good could come of this.
Octomam isn't the worst. Cecil, with good equipment in the back row, can block that. That spot is not the shall we describe the obscene attack power that the Leviathan spot has. And the Leviathan spot elements is potentially manageable. That I may have gone and insulted the Crystal Gauntlet earlier, but it does provide some very specific tools. It gives undead resistance, which will double Cecil's defense against undead enemies. The first phase of elements, it's Mylon Z, who happens to qualify as undead. If you go and use Reflect, you can bounce Fire 3s from Tella to go and take out that Mylon, but it does take a bit of time, which Mechalink, you got 2 key item checks waiting for you in Kabul. I don't blame Mechalink for not wanting to stick around and do those.
Yeah, the worst part of having elements at that spot, you're dealing with Mylon as the first fight. He basically just punches. That spot punch. That spot really punch. So you're a little afraid on that front. We would rather something that's a bit more magic-centric. But yeah, that strat is definitely viable. And maybe what we see our runners go and use if we have to do that fight.
Agreed. And BigDunka is going chasing their Luka Key from the top of Lower Babel, while Mechalink is chasing their pan that was from Cave Bahamut. And Mechalink is choosing to pick up some more Star Veils. I can't blame them. They are very handy tools to have.
Yeah, even with Golbez out of the pool, you keep them around. They're nice. They're good. They're good things.
We have not seen Wyvern, who you really want Star Veils for, because the opening Mega Nuke is reflectable and is very likely to go and roast your party. Ooh, Tower Key from Sheila 1.
And a Rat Tail from Sheila 2.
Now we continue the game of is it value, because the Rat Tail is another chain. It does get Mechalink closer to 10 key items, which that could be very helpful.
Oh, BigDunka finding the Avenger Sword down in the sealed cave. That's not a key item. It's a very good item, but not good enough for Dunka to walk out.
I can understand that logic. It's whatever that fight is. It's not Demist. It's not immediate value. BigDunka is going to go to Sheila 1 now. Going to get the Tower Key, but not the Rat Tail that Mechalink is getting, because the Rat Tail requires Pan. But it's also probably going to be checking that Demist.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Dunka is actually getting bailed out here. The Pan brought us nothing.
Yeah, the Pan was junk. Tanktail's nice. X-Scale's nice. But the Pan is just 2 extra key items at this point, which could still be big for Mechalink, as we haven't exactly been drowning in key items. We're sitting at, I believe, 7 key items on Mechalink's side and 6 on BigDunka's. Mm-hmm. No, 5, excuse me. Soon to be 6 for BigDunka when he goes and talks to Sheila 1 and gets the Tower Key. Mechalink, I believe, is going to be running up that tower to go and get that Luka Key. And whatever the Tower Key holds.
So this is going to be interesting in terms of the grind timing. Mechalink doing that Cave Bahamut fight got a little bit of a pre-grind going on with only a handful of key items. We keep harping on that number because at 10 key items, the experience that you get doubles for your entire party. So you want to hold off on your main grind until that point. And Mechalink is closer to that point. BigDunka needs more of a grind in the first place. He hasn't done one. But also doesn't have the key items to make that happen sooner. So we'll have to see. Like, towards the end, it could come out that Mechalink has better power available.
Yep. Mechalink could go and just be able to win off. Excuse me. Could be able to win just off the fact that he can grind faster with 10 key items.
He's also going to get that little bit of added efficiency by not doing a keyless tower dip. Going to take on the officer soldier up here and then deal with the super cannon chamber, which will probably be another free fight. But, you know, Wyvern could be hanging out there, and 400 HP isn't much, but a Mega Nuke is still a Mega Nuke.
400 HP isn't much, but if it's faster than you, it can still kill your party. Though another consideration is we haven't seen the Alt Gauntlet yet. That could also be waiting, and that is not a fast fight.
No, it is not. It is 5. I keep forgetting if it's 5 or 6. 5 random encounters from the local area, and I think we're a little underleveled for what the game expects you for lower Babel.
I think Mechalink might be going. Well, I think both parties might be at both paths, and Demas not paying out. Dwarf Castle, your one-stop shop for fully equipping a white mage with plus 30 willpower and nothing else.
I mean, there are a lot of seeds where you would love to have plus 30 willpower on somebody.
It's convenient, I agree, but oh, it looks like BigDunka is choosing to go back to Baron and face that CPU on the Odin throne before going and chasing the tower key.
That's one of those where if you have consistent party-wide healing, and Sylph counts as consistent party-wide healing, you're actually pretty good no matter where those orbs are hanging out.
And an X-Cal is really nice because that's going to be a few thousand points of damage. I don't know if BigDunka has backroad their Cecil yet, but they may wish to do so. Oh,
Yep. He backrode him a while ago.
excellent. But here we see Mechalink in the Luca key. BigDunka is going to be going and potentially scouting a new check, though Mechalink might be going and finding new key items first, as the CPU fight might not be that fast for BigDunka. And to answer a question from chat, once objectives are complete, outside of resetting, you still have the objective complete, and you do not need to keep Edward. You do not need to have Edward in your party. You just need to get the option to recruit Edward, and there is a Lunar Sparkle.
Hi, Vern.
Not quite fast enough on the draw today. Good.
Hi, Vern.
Turns out, low magic attack power means that some rather level characters have a good chance of evading magic.
Yeah, it was. Wait, that was nearly going to be a situation that I don't think I've ever seen. You prep, you put a Star Veil up for Wyvern, and then it doesn't hit that character, and so it doesn't die to its own Mega Nuke because it whiffed.
How embarrassing would it be to, like, be the big surprise boss, jump out, say, "Hi, Burn," and completely miss everyone, as everyone's just sitting there wondering what Wyvern was actually trying to do. And
if you've never seen a dragon walk away in shame, that would be when you see it.
Does Wyvern have enough self-reflection to walk away in shame?
Yeah, it casts Reflect.
True. Is it trying to go for self-burns with the nukes, or is it just, doing the whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you?
Look, I don't have insights into dragon psychology, so.
Well, now I feel a little sad about that, because I was hoping you would.
I don't hang out with enough dragons, is what it comes down to. And Mechalink probably won't, as they just picked up the pass, so maybe they don't have to go back to the moon at all.
Maybe Mechalink goes back to the moon right now, because that pass means, oh, if I walk down and clear the bottom lunar subterrane, I never have to do that again. But instead, choosing to go to Baron might be going and checking the Odin throne at this point.
Yep, that is a fight that BigDunka has been working on and making good headway.
With that CPU node down, that is definitely what I would call good headway, as we are very close to the end of this fight, and BigDunka is happy to go and start freely throwing quakes. But we'll see what we get from this Odin throne now, as we know that the tower key is the past. Nice, but not progress. Ooh.
The Twin Harp is progress.
Twin Harp is progress, and it's scary progress. That could go and gate your final key item if that key item is the package or the Earth Crystal.
Yep, both of those can lead to a character.
And characters are what we need at this point. We need to go and find Edward somewhere. Or we can go and find 2 parts of the Legend Sword. The very awkward question, I think, is if you do the Twin Harp and don't get an extra character check, what do you commit to? as you know there is a character check on the giant, and of
Mhm.
the characters you've checked, you can peek the character in Kaipo who is Kane, so you know that that's not Edward. You then have two unknowns in Zot. If you're very dedicated, you could go and run up Zot, kill the first boss, and scout the character, but that might not be worth the time. You know the package is a character, and you know the giant's a character. That would be a 1 in 4 shot of getting the duplicate Edward we know is in the seed. And of the four remaining characters, sorry?
I, I honestly, a part of me is thinking this would be the one case where you want to do a D machine grind. You want to say, I'm going to bet, because this is an elimination match. This is where you're being risky. You're saying, I'm going to bet that Edward is at the giant. I'm going to make D machines my grind so I can get through those bosses. And if he's not there, I lost, but I went out in style.
I don't know if you D-machine just because sirens are around, you have an Artemis bow and Artemis arrows. You could just burn through all of your money, clear that, and maybe get up to nuke levels, though BigDunka is distressingly close, but not near enough to being able to have 10 key items, while Mechalink is quite close and is on the path to getting that Twin Harp, which will potentially lead to another key item.
Look, there are many reasons that I'm not actually running in this tournament.
Sirens, D-machines are a very efficient grind. They're very dense grind. Sirens, however, are really good. They are one of the few things that really keeps the D-machine grind in check.
But also really good is the variety of harp music that we have established in this randomizer. Over 200 songs replacing whatever Edward plays. Let's see which one he's chosen for us tonight.
And that was Frog's theme from Chrono Trigger, as we wash away the turtle and get to have some very nice key rewards for this key item.
It's one half of your Excalibur Forge.
That's a key item as well, which I believe that should take Mechalink up to 10 key items if I'm not miscounting.
That will, once he gets through this fight.
And speaking of getting that fight, we'll probably be getting another reprise of music, and it's such good music, I'm happy for it to play twice. And with that reprise of music, BigDunka has gone and defeated Wyvern is walking out of the tower, as Mechalink is going to be getting their Legend Sword, leaving both runners in a position where one runner has done a check, the other hasn't. BigDunka has done the Seal Cave, which Mechalink still has not done, or at least has checked it and chose to reset out of, while Mechalink has gotten the pan from the moon and is going to go and receive that rat tail, being the only real reward from it. The real question is, where do these runners go next at this point?
Well, I think Ninja Debugger in chat is right. It's either Feymarch or the moon. Do you go underground or way above it?
That is a scary choice, as you're looking for either an adamant, or an earth crystal, a package, or chasing your gut and going through the giant.
Yeah, well, BigDunka first is going to park over here, pop a couple of those sirens, get some levels on the party. They will not be those 10 key item optimized levels that Mechalink will be obtaining, but it's something.
Right, Mechalink also has not done Dwarf Castle, and with
Yeah.
Demas Tier, gonna want to do that.
Yeah, but this was another big long chain of no key items. Good XP splash, good white mage gear, no key items.
It is a character check that Mechalink definitely wants to do, as one objective from Go mode, you want to go and check your characters. This is definitely a correct play for Mechalink, because you have 5 characters on Mechalink's side that he hasn't seen, or 5 character checks he hasn't seen, excuse me. And if you pull Eddie, you're done. You go. And this is an Earth check. You know your opponent's probably done this, so you really don't want to go and leave this hanging if you want to go to the moon. I definitely agree with this play for Mechalink, even if it isn't going to pay out.
Oh, absolutely. We've been saying it this entire league. There are plenty of cases where runners make what ultimately is the wrong decision, but it is a good decision, because with the information that they had, that was the right play. It's just the seed did not cooperate. So we very rarely will fault a runner for what ends up being a bad decision, because it wasn't. It was a good decision that just didn't work.
Yes. And there are sometimes that, yeah, you'll go and take the suboptimal decision, but you have to rely on it paying out because you're pretty sure your opponent's been there first. And that is one of the scary parts of this 1v1 racing, as you have, if you know your opponent, you can go and make some specific targeted gambles. And BigDunka is choosing not to gamble on this Feymarch being empty, wants to go and see if there's value, doesn't want to leave it alone. Very understandable, because Octomam is very doable with a Cecil in your party, and Rubicant, or the Elements, excuse me, is a very doable fight.
Yep, BigDunka is slowing down the battle speed just a little bit, make it a little more manageable. Make sure you don't let the enemy get any more attacks than is absolutely necessary. And we'll see which one he bothers to... Oh, gonna pick Octomam first.
Definitely makes a lot of sense. Octomam is, between the two, I would consider the much more free of those fights, as we mentioned earlier, the Leviathan spot punches really hard. Mylon phase of Elements, just gonna punch.
Yep, the advantage here, the Ashura spot is also pretty fast. Octomam, though, is used to fast spots, and the more you hit it, the more it slows down as part of its script. So you can actually mitigate that whole problem.
Yeah, makes Octomam a bit of a freer boss, as long as you can get started. If Octomam is going and mopping the floor with you before you're starting, it's still a real rude fight.
Yeah, 900-ish on Tella in the back row. Almost knocked down Cecil with a single swing. It's a bit rough.
Yeah, but starting to chop off some of those arms, going to slow down that boss. Rosa is doing good damage. Proza is very well protected in the back row as well. Rosa is just carrying this fight for BigDunka. 3,600 damage.
Battle Rosa. Okay, there was a quad 9 from Palom. Battle Palom, I guess.
I mean, he's got the quadruple weakness going in his favor. Tier 3 spells are really strong, but yeah, that Rosa's doing good, reliable, steady damage, while Palom's just doing that big burst, but Rosa finishes off the octopus, and we are going to see a key item here. Okay, not a key item.
Close enough, though.
Feeling really good about yourself item, though. That is the Crystal Sword that I gushed about earlier, because the Excalibur that Cecil has is a 150 attack power weapon. The next best weapon in the game has 106 attack power. The Crystal Sword has 200 attack power, gives plus 15 strength, which is probably going to be 2 attack multipliers for Cecil, and it does quadruple damage against undead enemy.
And you know what's an undead enemy? This Mylon at the front of the Elements fight that BigDunka is dipping right back down for. If nothing else, this is the correct sequence of events for tackling this Fey March.
Yeah, that's you really would prefer to go and get an adamant to, forge the second X-Gal, but the that Crystal Sword, real nice.
As we like to say, Crystal Sword Cecil go burr. X-Cal Cecil is more of a shiver than a full burr, but it's still good.
It's one of those things where you just can't look directly at X-Cal Cecil or Crystal Sword Cecil, because the radiance of that sword and the number of damage that comes out of it is just, it burns your eyes.
But as we are gushing over the Crystal Sword, Mechalink is going and checking this Mist Dragon check to just get a life staff.
And resetting. Might be going to Fey March to go and take on these fights, or might be going down to that Luca Cave, which, now that which are bad choices, you know that those fights are not awful, and you know that you can go and probably... Ooh, Flare coming out. That is going to be a bit painful, and that is taking down everyone except for Cecil.
Yeah, and that's a reset for Dunka, as that Cecil was zerked, I believe. So, yeah, not much else you can do there.
That, might want to take a slightly different approach to that fight, as Crystal Sword Cecil is nice. You can also go and reflect Fire 3s onto that boss and never get out of the Mylan phase. Or you can just Berserk Cecil first, and that will also do a lot. There we see that 7,000 damage. I do believe one feature of the Rubicon fight is that Rubicon is resistant to holy damage. So he's actually taking quite reduced, 2,000 damage to the 7,000 we saw from the initial shot from that Crystal Sword.
Yeah, hoping that Palom stays up long enough to get that Ice 3 off, which will do a nice hearty chunk of damage.
As long as it doesn't change to the next phase, which it might be coming out of. Nope, we're going to go and get Ice 3 off, and that is probably going to kill this Elements.
There we go, another Quan 9.
Elements would switch to the Kinaza phase if it had any HP left to do a counterattack.
Yeah, that kid doesn't do much, but when he does it big. And we get a spoon. We got a spoon.
Poor Edward, I'm sure he's sitting there laughing at this team, as I'm sure certain resident Edward lover Oscar 424 is doing. As we have a special flag in free Enterprise where you can go and, as a slightly silly option, make it so the spoon is equipable by one certain character. For those who are unaware, the spoon has the maximum attack power of 255, and when the person who can use the spoon equips it, their attack power is just set to 255. That character is Edward.
He's the only one spoony enough to use it.
I mean, tell it to go and say exactly what kind of bard he is, and he, with that flag, will live up to that name.
Yeah, I mean, that is literally the genesis of that joke, is that he is the spoony bard, so give him the spoon. And with that on, it actually does make Edward a viable glass cannon in certain situations. But, he has to actually be in your party for that to work, and that's not happening in this race, it looks like.
Turns out, when you have the option of maybe getting a spoon or just simply having characters who will do things, you tend to go and stick to known values.
Yeah.
And Mechalink is going for some level of value. As we know, it is a crystal sword and a spoon, two ultimate weapons for two characters that we came close to starting with. But this is not going to be progression. But BigDunka is diving into the moon, which we know there is most likely some form of progression down here on this moon. Is almost guaranteed that the adamant rock is gated by these checks.
Yep, if the rock isn't here itself, it is behind something on this moon. So BigDunka is going to go top down from the looks of it, through the subterrane. I have to imagine if you find the adamant rock, you know you're good. If you find the earth crystal or the package, do you bail at that point or do you keep going?
If I'm at the top, I'd be tempted to bail for the earth crystal or package. You can really quickly check to see if you're going to go and it's going to be worthwhile. Haldim doing a great job of moving today and moves absolutely nowhere. And we go and Crystal Sword Cecil. This is going to be a theme for the moon. We start a fight, we cast Berserk, it goes on Cecil, and the thing probably dies in 6 hits.
I mean, it's nice to have consistency.
And after we're done with these fights, most enemies will have the consistency of probably butter. Haldim is making a valiant effort to do damage, and by valiant effort, I mean, I think we're going to see Rosa flex on Cecil a bit here.
Yeah, paled him, no dragon in the name, is a dragon.
And Rosa, Artem's heroes, they do good things to dragons, and by good things, I mean good for us, bad for them. And Cecil does go and finish out the fight. BigDunka is going to go, getting some experience. Really incentivized to keep any key item he finds here, as once he gets another key item, he has got what he needs. Oh, hey, Earth Crystal.
That's a good key item. That's 2 character checks. That is item number 10. That is another key item check behind it as well.
Yep.
That's exit on Rosa. It's all good.
It is a very hard decision, because do you walk down to the bottom of the moon to get more key item checks, or do you go back to the Earth to get 2 character checks? And I think the 2 character checks are pushing Dunka over the edge.
Yeah, because if we have an Edward in there, or if we walk out of there with an adamant rock, that is go mode, and Dunka has a pass, so he can just finish off his grind on the Earth and be good to go.
Yes, and the rudest thing you can get from there is the package. Because if you get the package, you still keep it, you check it, and then you get perfect information where Edward is, if he's not in Zot. And then you get to decide, do you do the giant bosses to get the guaranteed Edward, or do you go back to the moon and try and find an adamant rock, which is going to be up there at that point. Okay, BigDunka doesn't know it's going to be up there because he hasn't done the pan to the rat tail chain. We know that if the adamant is not behind this earth crystal, it is on the moon directly.
As Dunka is heading into the Tower of Zot, no time to visit a treasury. We're an hour and a half in. Why would we bother? Mechalink gets through the elements fight, gets the spoon, and gets that information that what you're looking for is not on this planet.
Now the question for Mechalink is, do you feel behind and go top down and unfortunately go the same path that BigDunka is? Or do you go to the bottom of the moon and try and hit those really dense selection of checks, which that's where the adamant is. To answer a question from chat, where was Pan? Pan was from Cave Value. It led to a crystal gauntlet, a rat tail, and the rat tail led to a glass hat.
Yeah, some handy gear and 2 key items to put Mechalink in that 10 key item spot earlier, but not go mode, not objectives, not key items.
And we see Mylan and friends here who they're going to get real friendly with the face of a crystal sword, I think. Just enough damage to go. And this Cecil comes such a long way. where he starts the game and he's barely able to go and do 3 digits with damage, and he is just pumping up quad 9s, looking back on those days and thinking, man, I have come so far from that point. This is a big question from Mechalink. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, swinging so hard we don't even get to hear about Mylon's body.
Well, I believe his body is now the consistency of butter.
We've established this, yes.
But Mechalink is choosing to fade the top spot, and is instead okay, going backwards might not be fading the top spot, and it's going to be checking the top spot, which is going to put them behind. We found our third dupe. It's Kane, so Edwards. Our 3 dupes are Tella, Edward, and Kane.
Yep. Do we have a other dupe in this tower, or do we have to keep going?
We have Edward. BigDunka is on the path to go mode. Mechalink is going to get the path to go mode if he follows this earth crystal, and we're going to see if there was an adamant here or if it was on the moon. As I misspoke earlier, we don't know if the adamant is here behind earth crystal or if it's on the moon. But BigDunka does have their normal crystal now. They just need to grind and run to Zeromus.
And that grind is going to be the main difference here. BigDunka deciding Edward is tagging along.
Edward?
I guess as the anchor.
Yep. Edward starts at like 8 agility. Party's a little fast.
I mean, we've got curse strings though, so a good number of characters could be an anchor. That's an Ogopogo. That's at the top of Zoss, so that's cool.
There are, for this party, there's worse things. The Ogopogo is going to be able to punch hard enough to take down Cecil. The waves might do it, but we are going to go and... Oh, maybe BigDunka is taking Edward. He's going to go and curse string Tella and is going to rely on that spoon to do damage.
That's entirely possible. But Mechalink is hot on his tail, picking up the Earth Crystal and is heading off the moon as well. So Mechalink had that little bit of extra early grind. Will that make up enough time or any time?
Yeah, Mechalink has to go through the 2 fights while BigDunka is through. And BigDunka does need to go and grind to full Z levels. Probably only go up to level 25 or 45 on Cecil because Crystal Sword turns out very strong, very good at killing things like ancient horrors from beyond the Veil of Space and Reason.
Well, if you were looking for a different character, that package would have been fine for continuing that chain, but we'll never bother looking at that.
Would you like to see who the 9th and 10th key... No, we're not going to find out who those characters are. I'm sorry.
No.
They are Sir or Madam not appearing in this. Actually, we have seen all the ladies of Rosa, Forum, and Rydia, so we know they are Sir not appearing in this seed. And I don't believe we've seen Yang, Fusoya, or Sid?
Yang, Fusoya, Sid, and Edge are the 4 possibilities. I suspect one of them is Edge because, Ninja, very good at hiding.
Yeah, that's a fair thing. And Edward is getting knocked down, not going to go and get levels and just... No, we have Crystal Sword Cecil, we have Rosa, we are just going to go and probably care about those. I don't think we're going to see Nuke on the Kid.
And not with just 2 Sirens remaining.
Yeah, if BigDunka wants to go and grind further, BigDunka is going to need to go and buy some more Sirens, unfortunately, and those are for sale in the Evelyn shop.
Yeah, I would honestly not be surprised if this ends up just being a power couple going into Zeromus. Nothing but Rosa, Cecil, and a dream, and with a Crystal Sword, that's a big dream.
It's a dream with big numbers, and you will be definitely living that dream. I mean, we have good equipment to go and take Rosa to recent, we have a white shirt and a life staff. That's going to go and give you plus 30 willpower. That's going to make you very good at tanking some magic damage, I think. Are we going to see a stop at Toria, or we're going to see a stop at... We're going to Toria, it looks like. It looks like
Yeah.
we are going to be going into Zeromus very shortly on BigDunka side, as Mechalink is racing through this Tower of Za, is going to be getting their Eddie, going to go and complete objective number 4, have their crystal, but it's going to be behind BigDunka as BigDunka is finishing their grind, is doing final equips, and getting ready to go and take on Zeromus. And with the final boss of the game coming so soon, I do believe we have a certain question we'd like to ask.
Yeah, after all, we don't move Zeromus around. So our team, Skullkitty, Boardface, probably a number of contributors that I'm not aware of, they were like, yeah, let's give him a makeover. Let's give him a style. Let's style on him. So whose butt are we gonna kick?
Indeed, and we have 526 different lovingly rendered butts for us to kick. And a lot of thanks goes to Skullkitty for making them. A lot of thanks goes to Board for, well, making Free Enterprise and some of these. And as was mentioned, there are some community suggestions in here that we could see some very interesting sprites. Though I guess the other question is, cute or not? I don't want to take bets on that because I don't like how often I've won and lost that bet.
There are some intimidating butts in the pool, to say the least.
There's also some straight horrifying ones. Some of them are just real evil looking. Meanwhile, Mechalink has chosen not to take in any of those characters, has Tell It Down, Ogopogo is crumbling, going to be getting their crystal. Has, if you're bold, has the levels to take on Zeromus, definitely not as high level as BigDunka, and BigDunka is throwing their crystal now. That said, we can easily have a wipe on BigDunka side as Rosa only has 1800 HP, or 1870 HP. A Big Bang could go and take her out without too much trouble.
Well, I have no idea what game the sprite is from.
I see you have not experienced the true culture that is Nier Automata, which, by true culture, I mean, I didn't realize I could feel this sad about androids in French-made year. Seriously,
I know a fair amount about Nier Automata, but did not recognize them at first glance. So,
how they're Nier Automata looks to have a lot of attractive, what's the way of describing them? Attractive humanoid-looking characters that are distinctly not humans, and really loves to gut punch you and make you cry. Speaking of crying, well, Tella is now going and crying on the floor. We don't think Tella is going to be going and contributing much. Palom is going, and I don't know if Palom threw up a Star Veil or is just simply going to go and... no, Palom did not throw up a Star Veil. Form is just simply knocking himself off.
yeah, Palom wants a nap. Can't blame him.
We are running on the back of Crystal Sword Cecil Gobert. And there is the second Big Bang coming out. Not nerfed, so going to be full power. Is Rosa going to go and take a nap? Nope. Rosa is going and dodging some of those rolls. Only Cecil and Rosa alive, but this Gear 4 is probably going to take both of them back up to full health and beyond. Yeah, okay, that's
Yeah, a hearty heal.
with 4 characters in your party, you would only be healing for just under 2,000 healing. And Mechalink is going, finish their grind, is entering into the Zeromus fight. We're probably going to be having competing Zeromus fights here. Another Big Bang comes out on BigDunka's side. This one might be a bit bigger. Does not go and knock out the team, but Roses keeps getting knocked down to some scary HP.
Yeah, even with that white robe, one high roll could narrow this down to just Cecil. With that black hole removes Berserk, so we'll have to reapply that.
And we are probably in phase 2, so I think we're going to be seeing a, yeah, there's a straight nuke coming out, and it went on Rosa. That's not something you want to see. Didn't take her out, but Rosa's going to need to get a turn to throw a Cure 4 and heal herself back up. Meanwhile, Mechalink is coming into the Zeromus fight. I don't know if they're a bit higher level, but we're going to be having some close fights. But there's Rocks, a miss. BigDunka does not get wombo comboed, and though Cecil is at very high HP and is going to be looking very close to just rushing down this adamant eveness.
There
and they
we
are
go.
down. BigDunka takes this race with an official time of 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 45 seconds. GG's to BigDunka for going and not... He's still in the race. He's still in the running for brackets. And we'll see if we can get him in here for an interview. And we are joined by BigDunka now. GG's, BigDunka. How are you feeling right now?
I love the gamble. I said going up, if Earth shows up anytime early, I'm leaving.
And
Well, it wasn't early, but it was just in time.
Yeah. And looking like it was pretty close.
it's that was a seed. Mechalink made a rather interesting gamble early on and went up to the moon to take out Cave Bahamut, finding a free fight there. They were able to go and get a pan and rat tail. It didn't lead to items, but they had 10 key items sooner, was able to go and power up their team faster than you could.
Yeah, no, that would make sense. Yeah, I was stuck at 8 and 9 for a while though. That was actually I was kind of concerned about that, but I have learned to stay off the moon as long as you possibly can.
You were well rewarded with that, as you did find the pink tail and the twin harp and Rosa all on Earth, and only needed to go and find either a way to get Edward or that adamant. When you were looking, did you ever consider going to Giant to try and get Edward, or were you going to leave that as a complete last resort?
I thought about it, but it was going to be difficult at that point to even consider doing that, because then I would have to do a grind before then. I only had a couple of sirens left. I didn't want to screw around with D machines up there, so it's like, no, I'm just going to stay on route. It's not a place I want to go.
Entirely reasonable. That was Speaking of route, let's go and talk about the early route of the seed, as you started with Hallam and Edward. How are you feeling early on with the complete and utter lack of power you had?
It's the first time I've ever wiped at Antlion Cave.
I see you haven't gone and fought Plague there with 2 forums.
No, well, I probably have. Yeah, and it was kind of one of those things. It's like I had one item to get through that, and I just didn't use it until the second attempt, and I was like, okay, well, this should be easy. And then it's like, am I going to have to hunt down vampires? So luckily the Rydia was really helpful, because I already had a sliff, and that carried me through the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, once one fight was all it took to start getting online, and you definitely went and started running when you were online. You were you started clearing the overworld a fair bit quicker. Mechalink had a bit of struggle just getting that first kill, and that really went and gave you a bit of an advantage in the seed. You managed to get underground sooner than Mechalink, but because of that pan and those extra key items, he was able to start catching up on you at the end. Was there any specific point in that seed that you were feeling, well, considering how long you were at 1, 3, and 5 objectives complete with no eyes on 2 or 4, how are you feeling in the mid game of that seed?
I didn't ever feel behind. I was getting concerned when I was running out of items on all the non-moon spots. And when what was at CPU? Because that was the only spot that I faded that I regretted. I can't remember what was there.
The CPU on Baron Throne?
Or no, CPU in down at the Odin spot.
Yeah, that had the twin harp.
That's right. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, and I saw that. Then I started getting a little worried. But I felt okay through it. And then when I ran out of items, the concern starts setting in, and that's when I'm like, Earth Crystal, I'm definitely bailing. I hadn't checked Sand Ruby, so if Sand Ruby popped, I probably would have save scummed it and went for it. I did know that with getting 10 items that I had 3 sirens left, and that should be enough to get Rosa up high enough, and then I was done. So A little concerned because it could have been buried anywhere on that moon.
Yeah, that moon. We're seeing now exactly where the adamant was. The adamant was down at the plague, the White Spear altar.
Yeah, I did. Did he even go in to check anything else, or did he just do Bahamut?
Mechalink went and followed the same path that you did when he went back to the moon, as Mechalink did top down, found the Earth crystal, and came back to Earth. So they were a check behind you at that point.
Got it.
And
Got it. Yeah.
The main differential. Go ahead.
Sorry. One thing I did regret on that moon route, and it just reminded me of this, is that I should have, and I knew it before after, in hindsight, I should have stopped at Eblin before going to Moon. I went up there to get the character, but if I stop in Eblin before doing that, there's a better chance of getting Sirens, because I would have had Sirens and Hourglasses. I 100% would have dove at least Cave Bahamut at that point, because I could have got a mini grind off.
Very fair. Yeah, that is something we were curious about, but also going back and forth between the moon can definitely feel like bleeding time.
Yeah.
So you did commit to that hook route, and you did find that Rosa there and immediately found a heroine robe for her. Were you feeling a bit better when you got that?
Yeah. I'm Artemis. Artemis heroine is probably my favorite thing in this game with a Rosa. It is so good because you don't have to do anything. She can berserk herself, and just you could sit back and relax. The entire mid game is covered.
Yeah, it weakens your magic, but it doesn't weaken it enough for Berserk to not work.
Doesn't matter. You're not using her for any spells other than Berserk at that point.
You do run the risk of Berserk missing. Do you ever worry about that item?
Yeah, I did have to count at one point. I looked, I had 6 arrows left. I didn't want to burn through them all because I didn't know how much I had left at that point. So I was being a little bit cautious at the end. But by then, I already had a life staff and I had a white robe. So it's like, I knew exactly what my end game was going to be.
Entirely fair. That you definitely had a strong end game with. You only had 2 characters up, but how much concern did you have about Rosa taking a high roll in that final fight?
I hoped that she was a little bit higher, like 19 would have been completely safe. And I'd forgotten after I started the fight that Tella was wearing a wizard hat that I easily could have transferred over and gave her a little extra D. But she was also wearing Crystal Ring, and I thought that was going to be enough. And yeah, I think the highest hit was 15, so wasn't that bad.
Yeah, you had a lot of good hits on your Rosa, and though lots of good evade rolls on both your characters. Well, you are now 3-2, skirting away from elimination for 1 week. You need one more win to punch your ticket to brackets. How are you feeling going into this 6th and final week of Swiss?
Just as good as I did going into this week. There's going to be no easy matches, and winning in, lose, and be a spectator.
That is, unfortunately, this field. You were right.
There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing else to say. It's like, yeah, you're gonna get paired against someone that's gonna be good, and good luck.
Anyone you're specifically hoping to dodge, or you're trying not to curse yourself?
No, I mean, I don't even know who's going to be in there. I haven't looked. Obviously, there's 3 ones that are going to be playing this week that, half are going to lose, and those are going to be good. And then the 2-2s that win are going to be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It could be anybody in there, and it just doesn't matter.
Entirely fair. You have been, I believe you've been playing since the first Zima Zone, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I've been here since the beginning.
How are you feeling about just having been here for so long and seeing all the different names pop up?
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. It's the back of the day. It was like, there's a half a dozen really big names you got to watch out for, and then the mid tier was another good 20, 30 people. Now it's just a conglomerated mess. It's like a big ball of cheese.
I mean, with Eddie's strats, we've been dining on cheese pretty well.
Oh, I got to use Eddie with Evil Wall. That's the highlight right there. I got to use that. I was so thrilled that I got to use Eddie for something.
That was a very impressive early victory, I have to admit. I was definitely impressed by that.
I threw a couple spells, saw how much damage I did the math in my head, and I was like, there's no way. Let's get out of here.
He was useful in the beginning. He was useful in the end. Bards
Yeah.
are useful.
Yeah, no, Eddie's fine. Eddie's fine. I got no problem with Eddie. Unfortunately, you usually drop Eddie, then you find Spoon.
Which happened, but fortunately, he made a return trip. So
Yeah.
I was curious if you're going to go and curse string Eddie and or curse string Tella and level up Eddie to use that spoon a bit.
No, I actually meant to keep Kane, and I screwed up because I was going to keep Kane with a lower agility, and then after I did that, I was like, well, I got to do that, and I didn't know what Tella's agility was at. I'm sure it was still going to be one with a curse ring, but I wasn't going to consider.
That is entirely fair. Well, Huffman, do you have any final questions for BigDunka?
no, I believe we've covered everything. So I'll just say GG to you again, BigDunka, and best of luck in week 6.
Great, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
And with that, we see Mechalink is crawling the way to the end of the Zeromus fight, down to triple digits on all of his remaining members, but it looks like that is the crackle,
that
and
is.
the boom.
That was a tight Zeromus fight. They took a wipe on the first pass, came back, and just got the good rolls that they needed to finish with a time of 1:48:34.
Let's see if we can go and get Mechalink in here. And I believe we're joined by them now. GG's Mechalink. That siege was very rough and not kind to you in the slightest to start.
I mean, the seed was fine. I got destroyed because my console fell off my table.
Oof.
So when my console fell off my table, it reset my looting. The darkness arrows in the upper left corner of the Damascene Treasury were the only arrows in Damascene, Antlion Cave, Kaipo Shop, right? Like, the only arrows I could have possibly seen, and the Baron looting I did, right? Like, those were the only arrows in that entire set. So I find an Elven Bow, Edward doesn't have a weapon. And that sets the entire tone for the rest of the thing. I can't beat Asura when I would easily kill her with a mage killer weapon, as we did once we found fire arrows. It was, right, like, Evil Wall was unbeatable for, like, if I'd gone to Evil Wall after that, right, like, it's easily beatable with the 2s. It's not. Right, like, and I spent a good long while recovering from the disaster that was that. Yeah, like, those darkness arrows were literally the only arrows in any of the early looting areas, and that was it. Like, that decided how everything went. I felt really good, right? Like, past that, I took some fights very scrappily, that I think I did very well with. Right, like, again, right, like, because I was under pressure, right, like, I hadn't realized that I didn't have something to make the kill on the guards fast enough, right? Like, I couldn't, right? Like, I didn't have size, I didn't have, like, and Piggy wouldn't hit, right? Like, so even though the guards were free, I had to go down to earth, go through ordeals, come back up, kill the guards, and then Pan had nothing.
It did give you 2 key items, which did go and help you get a bit of an early experience lead, as BigDunka did fade that for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, the experience was good for, like, the 50k, and, like, I'm not sad about the experience, but, like, those are the kind of plays you make when you know you are behind, because it's factual that I, like, could not have not been behind, right? Like, because my console literally fell off my desk. And just it not paying out, right? Like, me doing Odin, right? Like, I felt good about that, the Odin play, because we got Baron early, so you have to go back to that. Tearing through that without, right, like, doing that full DPS strats, right, like, with Rosa, right, like, that was kind of another kind of, like, scrappy play, right, like, just, I felt like I used the fact that we had, like, the good, like, when I found that heroine robe right after getting Rosa, right, like, I felt like I used the fact that we had heroine robe, Rosa, Artemis arrows, Artemis bow, and then decent Cecil into Crystal Sword Cecil, like, extremely well, right, like, I leveraged that very well. It just wasn't quite enough to overcome the initial stumbles.
Yeah, there were did go and unfortunately just end up trailing BigDunka a fair bit that seed, though you did go and choose to. You followed the pan, and you did go and get that tower key first, which allowed you to go and discover the past first.
Mhm.
When you found that past, did you have any considerations of going and diving the moon to see if you could pull something big out of there, or were you thinking you want to clear more of the Earth first?
So we got the pass, right? Like, and at that point, let's see. I'm trying to think what our exact scenario was there. We
I
got
do believe you had cleared. That was your first clear underground because the first thing you did was check the pan to go to Sheila, get those two key items, turned in your pink tail,
Mhm.
and then went to the underground and cleared the tower, which she had both spots for.
Right, tower pass. But right, like, and Derek was in dwarf. We had Luca key, but what did I do right after that?
After that, I believe. I don't remember off the top of my head. I think you went to
Yeah.
dwarf. I think you went to dwarf after that. No.
No, dwarf came. I was up top before that. Before I went to dwarf.
That must have been Baron Throne then.
No, because I did Baron Throne a little later than that, right? And Baron Throne had Twin Harp, right? Like I went straight to Twin Harp from that, right?
Trying to remember exactly what your path was at that point. What overworld
Yeah, I
check would you
honestly
have
don't
had?
remember either.
Yeah, like I'm
Yeah,
trying to figure out what happened.
There was
there.
no real overworld check for you except for that Odin after.
Right.
We didn't go and get Earth Crystal until the moon. We didn't go and get the Twin Harp until the Odin Throne.
Mhm.
You had already scouted Kaipo to see that cane in the bed.
Yeah, that I had timed out that hovercrafting there is faster than any landing you can make with the airship. So given that it was a character seed, I felt fine taking the hovercraft to go and check that out. That's one thing. It's not hugely faster, but it is faster, a little faster, and that's enough to just check it then. I found a cursed ring in the Kaipo pot. That I was like, yes, great. Then we did Fabul, and there was a cursed ring in the King's Room. I was just like, come on, come on, let me have the advantage from the Kaipo check.
You did have knowledge of Sandry was not going to go get you the duplicate.
Yeah,
Edward.
I mean, we never found Sandry, but no, I mean that's why I did it, right? Like I did it for the knowledge, right? And I mean, there was an Elven bow to buy, right? Like which again, like if I'd had the darkness arrows, that would have made Asura a joke, right? Like which would have made Evil Wall a joke, which would have just plowed me through that early part of the siege just fine, right? It just because of the reset, I was like, okay, like one of the I was like, I don't need to check the darkness arrow box. I don't need it, right? Like I need the black belt, right? Like I got the black belt out of the bottom part of Damascene and left because that was the actual good piece of gear there. Not expecting that Antline would have no arrows, right? Like that, or like nothing would have any more arrows. Right, and I didn't even have the Elven bow at the time, right? So it wasn't like I knew I was looking for arrows, right? So it was kind of like, yeah, like, and then it ends up, but those darkness arrows would have made the difference, and yeah, that's a tough loss, but
yeah,
you know that's that's life sometimes.
Yes, that does unfortunately put you out of contention for brackets. How are your feelings on the tournament so far?
I mean, it's been fine. Like it's been exciting. You know, a lot of the races have been decent. Right, like it's frustrating for me to be on the outside looking in again. I know that like even making it at 4-2 doesn't give you a great chance to make much progress, but right, like I feel like if you ignore the first 15 minutes of the seed, like I feel like my play right like past that point was excellent. Like I feel like my play the last couple of weeks has been excellent and just right like not quite managing to put the wins together, and that's as people have said, right, like there's a lot of people have kept their edge across the off season, and that makes for a tournament where it's tougher to kind of make those wins on like pure execution, right? Where you need to win the coin flips more and more. Right, like, and that just didn't happen for me this tournament, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, we definitely have a very competitive group in Free Enterprise, and it just keeps getting more competitive. But do hope that things continue going well for you in the future. Huffman, do you have any final questions for Mechalink?
No, nothing I want to add. Just that was a rough opening, just by the characters, if nothing else.
The characters were rough, right? Like, that's why I bought the Elven Bow, right? Like, that's explicitly where I was like, perfect, right? Like, finally, like, I knew that Edward wasn't functional, right? Like, I checked for the dancing dagger, right? Like, oh, the Stardust Rod thing was funny too. Like, I bought 2 exits, right? Like, explicitly because I knew I didn't have exit, right? Like, I would want to check Hobbs and I would want to exit out of the Antlion, right? And that's exactly what I used them for. I got a Stardust Rod, right? Like, I was like, wow, that would have been a little useful more earlier, but fine, right? Like, then we do hook route, and there's a Stardust Rod on the way, and I'm like, 2 Stardust Rods.
Yeah.
All right, it's fine. Lots of light swords to see too. More light swords than I'd seen in a while, honestly. Starting light sword, and then we got another one. Like, that was kind of wild too. Double black shirt, double light sword, double cursed ring. Double Earth Hammer too.
I didn't notice the double Earth Hammer.
Yeah, in Baron, right? Like, it was just really kind of wacky all around. But yeah, it was an interesting seed. Like, that, you're right. The early part was a little underpowered, but like I intimated, right? Like, all you have to do is beat a boss, right? Like, and the kid's online, right? Like, the kid has 2s, right? Like, and the 2s are a huge upgrade in damage, right? So.
Yep.
Right, like, there was all I needed to do was and usually I do Hobbs before Antlion, right? Like, this time, right, like, I knew that I needed Antlion before Hobbs, right? Like, in general, right? Like, because it's an easier kill, right? Like, so I went specifically forgo like the experience that I would usually take, right? Like, to do that, and then, like I said, like, just no arrows in Antlion Cave, and right, like, so Edward had no DPS, and we couldn't get it done with Bluff, and yeah,
that was an unfortunate loss, but definitely more Free Enterprise in the future. There's definitely next to run it, and again, there's a lot of people who've kept their edge, so it's a very stiff group. But with that, we're going to go and let you go. Thank you very much for joining us, Mechalink. And that brings us to the end of our race. We have had a very exciting race here between BigDunka and Mechalink, and we are going to be sending you all along to another exciting race on the Free Enterprise channel that is going to be in progress. It is between Castro and Woobear. Please do not spoil the results of this race, as some people would like to go and see that, be surprised by themselves. Be more than happy to let them know it's a good one. I'd also like to give a thank you to our restreamer Solaris, our tracker Scythe Marshall, and Hupfin for joining me on commentary.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Baka. And thank y'all who have watched here on RPG Limit Break, and thank you to them for letting us crash their channel for a bit. And we'll see y'all over on the Free Enterprise channel.
Have a great evening.